Welcome to Face, the program
that frontally discusses
political and social issues in Nigeria. The weekly program brought to you on Wednesday by 6 p.m. Nigerian time, anchored by Prince Ewemade Concourse, powered by GCSDN.
Join us.
Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, depends on the part of the continent that you are joining this program today. You are welcome to today's edition of Face to Face, anchored by my humble self. Our topic for today: is it necessary to establish an age limit or age or term limit for the presidency in Africa? That is our topic for today. But before I continue, I'm just going to run quickly. I'm not going to, because of time, I'm not going to run all through the 54 presidents in Africa. We have 54 countries and 54 presidents. And today we are here to talk about the age, either putting the age limit restriction for whoever is aspiring to become the president of any of these nations in Africa, or a term limit. So that is our discussion for today. As we have we have 5 of the oldest president in Africa as of 2023. We have Equatorial Guinea, who has been there for 44 years, followed by Cameroon, Paul Biya, who has also Paul Biya has been there for 41, followed by Swaziland, Uganda, and Eritrea. Those are the 5 top oldest presidents sitting as of today, 2023, still the president of this nation. People with an old idea. So that's some of the things we are going to be talking about. You, the audience who is also watching this program from your home, you can also send us your comment, and I will gladly read your comments. We cannot continue like this as a continent, having old people to continue to rule over all the younger generation. When we were young, they said we were the future leader, the leaders of tomorrow. But most of us today were already over 50 years, and these same people were there in a position by the end of affair in our day, during our younger days. They are still there ruling some of this country. Look at Paul Biya, who's been there for so long. Someone who was born 44 years ago already has family, so we cannot continue like this. Anyway, let me bring my panelists to the studio so we can quickly dive into the conversation for today. Comrade Joe Brown Delero, you are welcome to the program, sir. We can hear you. We can hear your audio very well.
Oh, really? Hold on. Let me check.
Okay, now it's okay. Now I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah. So again, I said it is my pleasure to be with you, and I want to say good morning. Actually, yeah, it's a little bit about 12. It's good afternoon from the United States of America, and to the rest of you audience all over the world. I want to say you're welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Let me bring the other guests. Comrade Pigbin, you are welcome to the program, sir.
Greetings, comrade. My name is Comrade Pigbin from Kenya. I'm glad to be here, and we are looking forward to our fruitful conversation. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. Yeah, today we are going to be discussing about the either setting an age limit for whoever wants to aspire to become the president any of the 54 countries in the continent of Africa, or a term limit. So that's our conversation for today, as we have someone who has been in power for 44 years, another person for 41 years, another one 37, 27, 32. I mean, come on, we cannot have these old people, Equatorial Guinea president has been in power for 44 years, since 1979, the year one of my younger one was born. That's quite a long time. Another one also been in power for 41, that's Cameroon, Paul Biya. an adult of 41 years old today. I'm also sure that they also have their own kids as well by now. 41 years old. Then Swaziland king has been in power for 37 years. And let's see, US again. Then Congo Brazzaville for 26, he has been in power. Algeria president also has been in power for 24. Lesotho has been in power for 27. And Eritrea president has been there for 32 years. So we are going to be discussing about this today. So my first question to you, Comrade Pigbin, my first question goes to you. Should there be an age restriction or term limit for individuals aspiring to become president in Africa? Comrade Pigbin. Comrade, can you hear me?
Thank you. Having been a young, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yeah, I can hear you now. Yeah.
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but your voice is a little bit faint. I can hear you. Your voice is a little bit faint.
Having been,
there's a background.
You can still hear me?
I can hear you now. I can hear you. Yes. Go ahead, please. I can hear you.
Okay, I'm saying, having been a young person who aspired for presidency in Kenya of 26, even though I didn't get to the ballot,
I think you're having a network problem.
No, somebody is having a call. I'll tell you.
As an aspect, should not be age restriction for candidates. Can you hear me?
Well, I couldn't hear the beginning because I think you're having another call coming into your phone. Hello. Okay, before you fix the glitches from your end, Comrade Jobran Delero, could you weigh in on the question, please?
Yes, I believe age is not supposed to be a barrier. But the problem we are having in Africa generally is that people want to cling to power forever throughout their lifetime. Political power is not hereditary. No, it is not. It's supposed to have a term limit. I agree that there should be a term limit, but age actually is not supposed to be a barrier. But when you say there is term limit, let us say the constitution of any nation says the president's term is going to be for 4 years or 8 years the most, which is 2 consecutive terms. So, and it should not exceed that number of years prescribed by the constitution of that nation. But for age, I do not believe age is supposed to be a barrier to becoming the president. The problem we're having is the greed of our politicians that want to stick to power forever. They do not obey the constitutional provision, regarding the term. So that's the only problem that I have with them. And then again, it also depends on the legislature or the in totality, the way the constitution is being executed in that nation. When you say eight is eight, period, so you can't go beyond that. That's where they are getting it wrong. And most of these people that you say are having like about 41 years, 44 years, I guess Most of them are from the military takeover, military administrators, who doesn't have a term limit because they are not governed by constitution. They are governed by decrees. So that's the only difference. But when you talk about democratic system, the constitution is supposed to be blunt on that. That if it is 8-year term for a particular president, yes, he has to let go the power for another president to take over.
Okay, thank you. Comrade Pigbin, are you able to weigh in on that question now?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
I will say that having been a young person who aspired for presidency in Kenya at the age of 26, I believe that there should not be age restriction for candidature, but there should be term limit. In Kenya, it has been there ever since 2002, and we believe that any person should contest not more than twice, 5 years each term. I believe that if you can't not do anything for the people for the last 10 years, what do you want to do for them in the 30 years and 40 years? And why do you have to stay in power for 40 years if indeed you are doing something? Because if you're doing something, 10 years is enough for you to develop that country. Now, 40 years, what have you done? You've never changed that country to be heaven or somewhere we aspire. So I don't think it's right for people to stay in power forever because those powers, they are given by the people. But the moment they remove the term limits in their constitution, they want to manipulate it. Always those in power will have ways to manipulate the system in their favor. And therefore, they need to get out. But even in those areas where they get out, for example, after 2 terms, they still influence their predecessors and their successors, like what happened in Nigeria. They still pick their people. So it's like the continuation of the previous regime. And they do this to protect their wealth, ill-gotten wealth that they got during their candidature or during their term serving as president. So yes, I support that there should be term limits, that there should not be age restrictions. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Well, I think in a way, I agree that there should be a term limit. Yeah, there should be a term limit, of course, 2 tenure. Then you can go back to your home if you have served your country well. But I also believe that there should be a restriction when it comes to age, because, for example, an 80-year-old man has nothing to offer any nation. Let's be frank and realistic about this whole thing. I'm going to take an example from the United States. Look at the current president of the United States, Joseph Biden. You watch him carefully when you see him speak. Most of the time, he makes a lot of blunder on the international stage, making mistake. He can even sometimes doesn't even realize where he is. Age is telling on him. So, and this also I will also look at take Paul Biya of Cameroon, for example, who came to attend a conference in France, was sitting in an audience. He didn't even realize where he was sitting there in the public farting. The PA was telling him he needs to speak to them. He couldn't even realize what he needed to do. He didn't even know where he was. So I really beg to disagree that there should also be an age restriction. If you are above certain years, like 65, I mean, people retire at the age of 65. If the public service retire at the age of 65, what are you still going to be doing at 70 in the public, holding a public office? At 65, you retire as a civil servant. So that should also apply to those who are going to be elected to lead our nation. We cannot continue having old people leading the nation, and they are leading us nowhere. They are leading most of this nation to their grave. So we should emulate other countries when you have 20-something years old as prime minister, when you have 30 years old as prime minister, as president, 40 years old as president. That's what we should do as a continent. Because we've allowed the older people to rule our continent for so long, but look at where we are. If you look
can I come in?
Yeah, you can come in.
Okay, thank you. I do support your sentiments, but the question is, even in the countries where we have young presidents, will the constitution stop age restrictions so that the older people do not contest? Second thing, do you blame he who voted an old person, or you blame the old person for contesting? Because if the population of the voters are not old, the majority young, Why do they vote an older person while there's a younger person contesting? And do you cure the old person leadership by removing them, or by actually the people who are voting to choose? Because you see, the constitutions do give them, for example, now should old people also not vote? Because if they have right to vote, why should they not have right to contest? Unless also you introduce, to be fair enough, you introduce also a law that people at the above age 65 should also not vote. But if you give them right to vote and deny them right to contest, then you're not fair constitutionally. And that's why I'm against some other countries that deny the young people the right to contest until certain age, but they give them right to vote. So am I young enough to vote a right president, or am I old enough to vote a right president, but I'm not old enough to be a president, or I'm not young enough to be a president? These are questions we must ask ourselves. So in terms of elections and voting, it is the voter who votes, not he who is standing there. Because in any contest, there will be somebody like in Nigeria. Obi was young, but Tinubu was old. Now, do you blame Tinubu for being elected while Obi was there and the younger person? Who is the problem? That's the question again we need to ask ourselves. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. And I'm going to clear your questions right away. First of all, when you are 18 years old, you are eligible to vote. There's no restriction for the year that you have to attain in order for you to be eligible to vote. 18, simple. Okay. Civil servant. Well, let's look at it from this angle. Civil servant, they work up to the age of 65. So in some countries now, they've changed it to like 70 years old to enable some of them to save additional money. Okay. If you are 65 and you retired, the government do no longer need your service to continue to serve on that capacity for which you were serving before you retired. Then the same thing should also apply for those who are going to be leading our nation. Because, yes, you can vote 65, 70, 80, you can vote the age. There shouldn't be a restriction on the number of the years for you to vote. You can vote at 90 if you're still alive. There's no problem about that. But my concern is that most of these old leaders, they have nothing useful to offer to this generation, because their generation was different from the generation that we are today. We live in the digital tech generation. We live in a generation where you can do things, you can work from the space of your home. In their generation, they didn't have none of all these things that I just mentioned. So yes, there shouldn't be a restriction on when you can contest, the age limit you can contest, but there should be a restriction on the age you must not be. You must not the age for you that you cannot be over that certain age in order for you to aspire for any political position. For example, 65 should be fair, because if people retire at 65, when you are more than 65, you shouldn't be eligible to contest. And also, to answer the other question, if we blame the people that vote for the old people that refuse to vote for the young people, in most of these countries that you see old people contesting, their vote does not count. I'm going to tell you categorically that in Nigeria, for example, when the last election we had in February 2023, just a few months ago, the vote of the people did not count. Tinubu did not win the election. He didn't even meet up the mandate of the 25% from the federal capital, but still he was declared the president of Nigeria by the ruling party. So most of them, they do not merit that position that they are holding on to into this society. They don't merit it, and nobody should allow them to contest when they are more than 65. That is my humble opinion. Comrade Joe Brown, do you have any contribution to that?
Absolutely, yes, I do. Again, in support of what my colleague, I guess, just talked about age, he has been able to define age limit in his own way. And to some extent, I agree with him. But again, let me tell you this. I maintained what I said at the beginning, that age is not supposed to be a barrier for anybody to aspire or contest or to become the president of any nation. But the only problem I have is the term. We already agree on that. All of us agree on the term. That term should be a term. If it is 4 years, let it be 4 years. It shouldn't be more than that. But on the age part of it that we are trying to emphasize right here, yes, I would say like you said, that civil servants retire at the age of 65. Therefore, the president are not supposed to, anybody is not supposed to be contesting after age 65. Okay, well, if you look at it, many people, especially in Africa, people who are aspiring to be president, especially the young ones, do you think they are actually prepared and ready for that position? That's another thing you need to think about. We're all talking about, the youth. The youth, they are supposed to be leaders of tomorrow. By your own experience and my experience here, I can tell you that our youth in Africa are not ready. They are not prepared. The reason you see them coming up nowadays is because they think the way the people who have been the elites that has been occupying the position have been they have been so corrupt by stealing, and that's what they are trying to go perfect. I can tell you now, most of the youth that are aspiring, all that comes to their head is how to go there and steal. They don't have that orientation. They don't have the capacity that to actually take that leadership position that they are aspiring to. For example, I must tell you this now. As in Nigeria, let me just use Nigeria as example. In all African nations, many people come contesting. We know it since the inception of this Fourth Republic since 1999. The problem we have that is dealing with all these issues is because of greed. Because of greed, there are people who has been in the corridor of power since 1999. Like I said, I'm using Nigeria as a case study here, okay, to reach out to other African nations. I don't know so much about other nations, the way they run their own, but I know about Nigeria. So now there are some people who has been occupying positions of power since 1999. Like you said earlier, people who were born in 1999, I think some of them are already raising a family as well, So how in the world, in a nation that has about 220 million people, you are telling me that the recycled people, the recycled elites that has been in power, that has not been able to...
I can't hear you, comrade. I can't hear you.
You can't hear me? Can you hear me?
Go ahead. Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you.
So I don't know why the same people will continue to resurface in political position. I can't tell. I don't know why. Because we have a population of 220 million. Are you telling me that those people are the only ones that know what they are doing? Especially when there's nothing to write home about in their tenure. And then you're coming back to recycle them again. That is where we have problems. That's what you have. The voters that you're talking about, that you were saying that in this last election, you are not sure that it was, or you just said categorically that the person that won, that they said that was declared winner, the Tinubu, who was declared winner as a president, was not the winner. That's what you are saying. Well, it is up to the court now to determine that. But again, what about those people who nominated these people? You are talking about age limit. All the political parties are aware of what you are saying right now. They all know that they have people who were young that were aspiring, and they also have the older people. Why would you leave? Why would you leave the younger people to nominate the older people? Probably because of money.
Hello,
Increase
comrade.
of power with money.
Can you hear
Is
me?
that right?
Yeah, I can hear you, but somebody else is speaking now. I can hear you.
Can you hear me? I can't hear anybody.
I can hear you. We can hear you.
So what I'm saying is,
I still can't hear anybody. Can you hear me?
We can hear you. We can hear you. You try and fix your audio. We can hear you.
So as I was saying, I always tell people that the final election.
Hello, comrades. I wanted to weigh in. I can't hear anybody. Can I get out maybe and come back?
Yeah, sign out and sign back in. Just sign out and sign back in.
Okay, so
Yeah, sorry.
yeah, that's all right. I always say, even in my own program, my own show, I have done a show on this particular topic, that the process of a general election begins by the nomination, by the primary election, if per se. You know, when the people who are given the opportunity to nominate fail to do their job by taking bribe or something to bring up people who were not supposed to be, who are you going to blame? That's where the problem is. So the age is not the issue. It is those people who nominated those who are aged. I mean, you have two choices, for example, young and old, right? And then you decide to choose the old one. Who are you to blame? The system say, well, anybody who is nominated will become the eventual candidate of that party. And then if they win, that's who they are. That's who they are. So that is the problem we have. It is the people. It is not the age.
Thank you. Let me just quickly address one thing, one of the things you said before I move on to the next topic. You said that the younger generations are not ready to take over power. I disagree with you. The reason is that most of these people who are still in the aim of affair today in Nigeria, in our nation, for example, Nigeria, most of them became president. For example, let me take Gowon. Gowon became president at what age? Awolowo became the premier of Western region at what age? So Obasanjo became president at what age? Just look back in history. So for you to say that the younger generation, they are not ready, not that they are not ready. They've not been given the opportunity.
Okay.
That is what it
Let
is.
me take you.
They've not been given the opportunity because no, I'll give you time. I'll give you time to speak. They've not been given the opportunity. For example, you talked about the election begins at the party primary nomination. Yes, the party primary nomination, you and I know very well the procedure and the process for you to become the party nominee. Of course, the old cabal will never allow the younger one to take the power from them. That is where the problem is. Not that the younger generations are not ready. They are ready. If Awolowo was ready at the age of 29, Gowon was ready at the age of 27, then why are we not ready with the generations of today or the younger generation? How come we are not ready? No, we are fully ready to take over power, to take over the affair of our nation. So if you have one or two things to say before I move on to the next.
Very quickly.
Yes.
Very quickly.
I can hear you. I can hear you.
Can I proceed?
Yeah, go ahead. I can hear you. Now, 1 second.
I just wanted to clear something.
Yeah, just clarify something.
Okay.
Then
very quickly. Let me tell you this. When you talk about Gowon, who was president at the age of what? Obasanjo was president at the age of what? They were not president. Those people were not. They came in by force. That's what I'm talking about. Military and civilian regime is different. And guess what? What was the result of their era? Full of mistakes. A lot of mistakes were made. So even when you talk, a lot of mistakes were made. You were not ready to do all that again.
Let's move on to the next topic. Comrade Pigman.
Can you hear me?
Can you unmute? Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear. Yes.
Okay, my point is this. My fellow comrades say that young people are not prepared to lead, and maybe not experienced. Africa has the oldest people in leadership. Has that generation developed Africa? What does the age add up to their quality of leadership? If the young people are not ready to lead, now the old people are leading Africa. What have they done? So, as I've said, that age is not a potential or a mark for who can lead or who cannot lead. Those who did the revolution in Africa, Akina Thomas Sankara, how old were they? The older generation in that country was seeing him as somebody who could not lead this country, but he did it. The good examples of people who have transformed this African leadership were younger people, you see. So these people, I don't always agree with people think that young people are not ready enough to lead the country. So they are ready enough to vote a leader, but they are not ready enough to lead. their vote can translate into proper leadership, but themselves they cannot be proper leaders. You see, so I don't totally agree with that. And therefore, I say if age was to be a factor of leadership, Africa has the oldest people who could have made Africa the best country in the whole continent or the old world, because Africa has the oldest people who are either experienced and ready to lead. But what have they done? Big countries and developed countries are moving with the younger generation more than even Africa. So that's what my input in regards to that. Leader age is not anything else. Young people can lead whatever they can as long as they're given the opportunity, because it depends on how you run. We've seen Africa with the old people have failed. So why don't we have young people? And the young people have proven in the past that they can lead Africa. Thank you.
Thank you so much. If you are just joining this program, I just skip whatever you can add that to your the closing remark. If you are just joining this program, please like and share the program and send your comments so we can also talk about whatever question you may have to ask any of the guests on the show. My last question for you, Joe Brown, Comrade Joe Brown, is what steps should Africans take to transfer power from the older generation? That's my last question. You can also just add your closing statement, closing remark to that as well. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you. The step to be taken in the democratic settings is by voting the right people into power. You have always realized that putting a square peg on a square hole is always the right way to go. When you have people, like I just analyzed a few minutes ago, I am not saying totally that the young people cannot lead. No, I'm not saying that. But how prepared are they? That's the question. For example, when you are going into party primaries, I'm going to use that again. I'm going to repeat it. When you're going to party primaries, there are youth that are supposed to be delegates, that will nominate whoever will become their final holding their party's ticket. When they get there, they collect bribe from these old recycled people, and eventually the election says that whoever is nominated are those that will go to present for the general election. So who are you going to blame? That's what I'm talking about. I'm not saying the youth are actually not capable of taking leadership, but how prepared are they? That's the question. So when you take bribe from an older person to nominate that person, and you know that eventually he's going to be the one to be presented, for election, and you let the younger ones that you think they are actually young, but you let them alone and collect bribe because the other one had money. Who are you to blame? That's what I'm talking about. That's where the preparation is coming in here. I did not say they are not capable of leading. Yes, they are. But where's the preparation? That's the problem. So when you leave what the right thing to do and do the wrong thing, then we go nowhere. The old people that have been recycled in Africa generally has not produced any result. No. The nation is still going backward. Then you are supposed to know that you do not have to nominate or elect any of those recycled people because they are being recycled over and over and over again, and yet there's no result. The same result we have gotten under development. Now it is your chance to change the narrative by electing fresh blood into the position of power. But when you fail to do that, where are we? We are going backwards again. It's just like, many steps forward. One step forward, many steps backwards. That's what it is. So I am trying to advise African nations when it comes to, except for those who are the nations that are occupied by military, because those ones they have no term. There's no term for them. They can be there forever. That's military because they are ruling by decree. There's no constitutional power. They don't follow the constitution. Generally, for those who are operating the democracy, the democracy right there is there's a specified term for them, and therefore once you finish your term, you go home and give the chance to other people. So, but when we keep recycling all these people, then we have nowhere to go in Africa. The same result of underdevelopment is what we're going to always get. So I want to thank you for having me today. Probably if you have more time, we will continue. But if not, I would say thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to be in your show.
Thank you. Yeah, today I don't want to stress the program beyond the normal 45 minutes, which we are supposed to end the program for. So that's why I kind of want to call the program down on the today. Comrade Pigbin, your opinion on that question? Comrade Pigbin.
Okay, I think Africa. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I can hear you.
I think Africa should stop relegating. Africa should stop relegating young people to delegates, as my brother is saying, that our youth should only be delegates to nominate some people. I think Africa should start seeing youth as leaders. If they want young people to come out and vote their people, young people must be given space in leadership, not space to be voters and campaigners and delegates to nominate some senior people somewhere. Young people must be given a seat on the table, but not to contribute on the material or at itineraries on the table. Young people must be on the table, and that is the only way young people will come out in large number to vote their fellow people. But people will be complaining that young people of Africa are not voting. But why should they vote in a space that they are not able to, they are not allowed, or they are not given space to participate in? So the Africa must change its mind, and many countries in Africa that still limit the age of contest for leadership must remove that. Young people, as long as they attain the age of voting, must be given the right also to contest. And if those countries are not going to do that, I'll advise my fellow young people to stop such elections, because young people have been voting people who are not at their age, but there's nothing that is changed to the young people. Young people are now being bribed, as my comrade is saying, but they're being bribed because they're poor. The older generations, is not that they're not taking money because they are integral enough. They are not taking money for bribe because they have some money, they can survive. But younger people have been made poor by the system and the politicians so that they can continue depending on those handouts and corruption. So let's empower young people to enable them also to compete. But if you block them in appointments in political positions, then you are reducing them and you're making them to be out of political system. They will not participate. And this is clear. As long as many countries will block young people from contesting, young people will stop participating in those elections. So let's give young people real opportunity by allowing them to go for any position they want. Let them fail. Let them vote themselves out or let them fail. But do not stop them the chance to be on the ballot and to be voted in. This is the big thing I want to say. Don't tell the young people that they will learn. Let them learn in the system. Let them fail learning. But don't tell them that they should be some juniors, delegates, and something else as they learn leadership. There's no good example of leadership in Africa to learn from. There's no any mentorship political in Africa to learn from. Because all political leaders in Africa and presidents have actually led down this continent. And therefore, there's nothing much they can dictate and lecture us as young people to listen to them to change Africa. They must sit back and allow us or even support us to show them what leadership is all about. And we can do it in this technology and in this era, and we can transform Africa. That's my clear message. Thank you very much, comrades.
Question
Thank
to
you
you,
so
quick,
much.
sir. Excuse me, sir. Question to you,
Yeah,
Pygmy. Let me.
Go ahead.
Can you hear me, Comrade Pygmy? Now, what you just said is, let me tell you something. Election is different from appointment. Empowering young people, probably the way you from your own angle is by appointment. Give you the opportunity, yes. But in elective position, it's not like that. You have to first nominate. If young people do not participate in active politics, their chances are not high to get nominated. But in appointment, yes, they can be encouraged by giving an appointment. But when it comes to elective position, you have to be an active politician to participate in that process.
Okay, thank you. As I want to say, we must also check the rules for nominations. For example, I know in Nigeria, the amount even to pay to be nominated to be on a ballot is very expensive. In Kenya, for you to be a member of county assembly, the constitution only demands that you pay close to $50, and you're getting a ticket for member of county assembly. For presidents, like a position I was running for, you only have to pay $1,000. How much is that in Nigeria? So you see, you make even elective positions so expensive that young people cannot even qualify for the nominations. Then you want to blame them that they need to go through the process of nominations. We must actually also look at those issues, because the cost of nominations is becoming very expensive in Africa, that deter many young people from participating. They don't have enough money like the older generations. So why do you make election be like the richest person should be the leader, or the richest person should be the one contesting? If you make it so expensive, people get their money dubiously, they corrupt, and once they get in there, they go and corrupt return back their money they use for nominations and elections. So politics in Africa must be reduced. As long as it is still so expensive and so billions and millions, those elected will always bribe and steal those billions and millions to pay the money they use for campaigns. That's what I can say. Thank you very much once again, comrade.
Thank you so much. It is really nice to have both of you on this program today. If you're just joining us, we have come to the end of today's segment. Our usual program runs for about 30 to 45 minutes maximum, But over the last few weeks, we've stressed it more than an hour. Thank you. I want to again thank both of you for being a guest on this program. I thank you, my audience all over the world. My closing remark is very simple. It is high time for African nations to establish an age and term restriction for individuals aspiring to assume the presidency in each of their respective country. This measure has become crucial in light of the prolonged tenure of aging leaders who persist in retaining power despite their diminishing relevancy. So on this note, I'm going to close the program. I thank you all once again for being a part of this program. Thank you and God bless you.